Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. I'm your host, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Joining me, Studio B. You guessed it, Texas returned from his 2-week hiatus. Thanks for having Tex on, as well as our fabulous guest, Chris Rhinehardt, Discover Sasquatch, for joining us to discuss his journey through what we all know is enigmatic Bigfoot. Beyond BMR goes beyond the mysteries of the world. It takes you on a deep dive through all those rabbit holes, from Bigfoot to Dogman, from UFOs to aliens, from time travel to the paranormal. How do they come full circle is the question. You can find us on Rhinehardt Radio, Spreaker Radio, wherever podcasts are found. You can also find us on KPNL Radio. Thank you to the lovely Selene out in Oregon for that. Find us at email. You can email text cryptid encounters at gmail.com. I am beyondbmr at gmail.com. If you like the content, would like to subscribe, please do so. For all newcomers, check out our about pages, follow upcoming events and activities. Super chats open if you care to donate. We do appreciate that long after the show is done. Super thank you open. And thank you for each and every single one of you for joining us here this evening. Subscribe to Texas Front Porch on YouTube. Subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. Subscribe to the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Bob Van Buren Variety and Jason McLean. The Jason McLean Questions Everything. Thank you for all that. We stream live on all three platforms for your viewing and listening pleasure. Speaking of pleasure, we're on just about every day except Sunday. Mondays, you can find us at Texas Front Porch on Monday at 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays, Van Buren Variety comes on at 8 in the East. Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesday night at 10 in the East. Jason McLean does something called Mysterious Library on Untold Radio AM. You can find Jason at 10. Then right back here with Jason on Wednesday with myself and the legendary Donnie Cho. Jason McLean Questions Everything, 9 in the East. Thursdays, brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, 1 o'clock in the East. You can find me and Krista every Thursday at 1. Later on that evening, you get more Krista and Brandy, the Blondes, the Booze Paranormal Podcast joins on Thursday night at 9. Fridays, more Woo with the Booze, the Blondes, the Booze, and the Woo Friday at 9 in the East. Tex, Danielle Diva, 3 in the East. Infamous Minds. It's true crime. It's infamous minds. It's infamous murders. Dating way back from Jack the Ripper up until modern day serial killers. They've got a fantastic show. Part 3 of the Smiley Killer debuts this Saturday. Go check out Tex and Miss Diva. With that being said, I'm going to bring out my sidekick, Tex.
Hello, everybody. I'll be your sober co-host tonight. Rob.
I could not find
Rob had knee surgery a few days ago, and dadgummit, the crap hurts.
It does. I am in pain, Tex, and the show must go on. I did, however, take my first medication right before the show started. So about 30 minutes. We'll see if my demeanor changes. I don't know.
I want to, before we get too deep into this, I want to give a shout out real quick. Pops, aka Gary Spike Sr., is in the hospital. He's going to be there overnight. So, y'all please hold him in your prayers, and we'll keep everybody updated and let you know how he's doing. So,
yep, I certainly will put my prayers out for Pops. I love him. Never met him, but he's every day in our chat room. Every day I spoke with him. handful of times in the last couple of years. A great guy and his son as well. So, yeah, I did
Well, I
not
got
know
to tell
that.
you, you know, Pops has become kind of a father figure to me
Okay.
because we spend a lot of time out in the field together. And man, when you're out there with him, you don't want for nothing, and he has got your back 110%. And he's such an excellent tracker, and I'm just, I'm praying that he's going to come out of this real good. He's an ornery cuss, so I got
Oh, yeah.
no doubt he's going to come out on top.
Yeah, I've heard the stories you've talked to me about, and Jason, before, and Randy even, and yeah, a lot of great stories. And yeah, he does. Yeah, I guess you summed it up. Don't know the man as well as you guys, obviously hardly at all, but yeah, an ornery cuss, a good way to sum it up. And to be a father and or kind of a father figure to you, Tex. That says a lot, um, coming from you. So yeah, speedy recovery. Prayers to Senior Spikes, as I call him in the chat room. So yeah, speedy recovery. Excuse me, speedy recovery to me with a throbbing left knee. I'm supposed to have this thing elevated, you guys, for the show. I'm kind of bending it, and I'm not supposed to bend it yet. Yes, against doctor's orders, but the show must go on, Tex. And so,
Well, I could have handled this there for you, Rob.
yeah,
All
but
you had
you
to do
know
is say
what?
the word, man.
But man, hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. Life happens. You just gotta deal with it. And I'm not a baby, and I'm gonna power through it, and we'll be fine. We got 6 weeks. Well, we got 2 to 4 weeks. I'm in this kind of rigid mobile type cast, which I'm looking at. So we'll just deal with it. But we have enough of me. We have a great guest sitting out back. What I'm excited to have on from Discover Sasquatch. That's his YouTube affiliations or his Facebook group. And I'm just going to bring him up right now. Hey, Chris Rhinehardt, welcome to the show, man. And of course, you're muted.
No, I'm not. I'm just joking with you.
I love you already. No bunch of jokesters I work with.
I'm the sober guest too. I'm with the sober co-host.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not yet. What do you call it? Loopy. I took the pill like 8 minutes ago.
It keeps on.
Don't worry, me and Chris got this.
We got it. We've got it. And thanks so for joining the show, and thank you to everybody joining us in chat. Appreciate each and every single one of you for joining.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure seeing you guys and talking Sasquatch for a little while. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just lay on the first easy question. What about this? How'd you get started?
Well, I got started. I mean, everybody's probably heard it before, but I got started when we got rid of cable TV. We started streaming, and I was introduced to YouTube. And my stepson, told me all about it. He said, just type in something that you're interested in, and they'll bring you to where you got to go. So I put in Bigfoot because I've always been interested in Bigfoot. And this whole new world just popped right up in front of my eyes. Like I didn't know it was a thing. I thought it was just the people that you saw in all the TV specials that were doing it, and those were the only ones that were out looking for this. I didn't know that we could do this. Any normal, any like you or Tex or any of my friends, Al Santoriga, any of them guys, could go out in the forest and actually look for these guys. So I actually said, I'm going to try it, because I had an interest, and I went out and tried it, and things progressed, and from point A to point B, and now I'm hooked. 8 years running now, and looking forward to my 9th year and learning more about the subject. So YouTube got me into it, but I've always had an interest in Sasquatch.
Man, 9 years. That's quite. I'm looking back. Wow, that's quite some time to be involved with this.
Yeah. It takes over if you let it. It could get pretty dangerous, if you let it get dangerous. I mean, you could lose family. I mean, if once it grabs hold, and certain people can handle it and others can't. And you have to learn how to teeter it back and forth through your regular life and the Sasquatch thing to have a smoother ride in the field.
Yeah, it's you definitely you have to be able to pull your own range back. That's for sure, because it will suck you in.
Yep. You got to balance. You got to have harmony with it.
Yep.
Or else, we all get burnt out. We all get that burnout. If you do it for all, you need a couple months off or a couple weeks off here and there, and just to rejuvenate. But once you get back to it, it's like the snap of a fingers. You're right back in the same loop again. But I enjoy it. I love getting data. I love hiking. I love everything about it. The people that you meet. So yeah, that's how I got into it, and that's where I'm at right now.
So, whereabouts do you conduct your? Well, actually, I should ask, what state are you from? I might have missed that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I'm from Connecticut. I do my research in the northwest corner of Connecticut. So I have New York on one border, Massachusetts on the northern border.
So no wonder why you're friends with Al. I see Al out there, that New Yorker. So you guys are kind of a couple states apart.
Yeah,
hello, Al.
Yeah, we're right. He's only like an hour and a half away from me.
Awesome.
So we're planning on 2 weeks. Like I told you pre-game, that he's got an expedition planned, and we're going to go up to his sacred site, and we're going to go out and see what happens. So I'm looking forward to that.
We were talking earlier, maybe last week or whatever, and you've gone through various stages. Like I think in 9 years, a lot of stages. You started out probably all flesh and blood, and you moved into what you're into today, as far as what you think they are. But let's go back about 9 years. What was your first, when you're out there actually gung-ho about the subject and getting into it, what was one of the first things that really said, man, you know what? These things exist?
Okay, well, I started most people start with the structures. I mean, that's the easiest part of it. You can go out, you can look for the structures, you can do your studying, you can compare the pictures with everything. But when I first found out that there was something that has hands and can throw stuff at you, was very early. And it was a dog whimper noise, and it was at my area I call Rock Throw Alley. And me and my buddy just found a couple of structures, and we're on our way out, and we get out to the logging road, and we hear like a dog whimper, it's in the state forest. It sounded like a dog got hit by a car. It was like So we go, that's what we thought, dog got hit, so let's go see if we can help it. So we go where the dog whimper noise was. We get there, and there's nothing there. Now 50 feet up to our left into the woods. Now he's bringing towards the woods, 50 feet up to our left. The same thing again, the dog whimper noise. So we figured he got scared, he scampered off, let's go up, and we'll go up there. So we did that. We got there again, and nothing was there. 2 more times to the right and to the left again, the same scenario. 50 feet up, nothing there. 50 feet up, nothing there. My buddy goes, whatever this is leading us into the woods. It's dusk. We had no flashlights. It was just, we weren't prepared for any night stuff. So we were turn around, let's get back to the road. So we turn around, we get back to the logging road, and then we heard something like, I can't, hard to explain it. The sound probably changes every time you tell a story, but it was a weird sound, like, and then all of a sudden you hear a rock comes flying out of the forest and lands right in back of us.
I must say, fantastic background.
So that's
hard
when we realize that there's something in the forest other than ourselves that can throw rocks. And the sound was just crazy. My buddy has still never been back to that spot that was with me, and that was 9 years ago. It was very freaky, and we've had many. That's my area I call Rock Throw Alley, hence the Rock Throw. That's how it got its name. And I research there still to this day, and that's where we have a lot of great stuff that goes on there, like great evidence and whistles and EVPs and stone throws and a bunch of stuff. 2 sightings. The girls on my team seen them twice last year. So it's a great area.
You know, you talk about, I want to talk about the rock throwing for a little bit, because you can count almost on one hand the amount of people that's actually been hit by a rock. It's like a lot of times when I've had them throw rocks at me, it's like they're either playing or they're trying to get your attention.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in certain areas, certain times, I think it means different things, but I think they want to get a reaction out of you a lot of times. I was involved in something in Missouri, and when we left the camp, you would hear the rocks being thrown into the middle of the camp during the day, and I think that was to check and see if anybody was in the tent still. I think it was, as soon as they knew it was clear, they could come in and get closer or whatever. But I think they have different uses, what they use it for, but I've never been hit. And I've had many stones thrown at us over the years. And I think that's my favorite interaction because, a raccoon's not hucking stones at you. The closest thing that could really do it is probably a raven because they can drop stuff out of the sky on you, but nothing that can throw it like they do. So it kind of eliminates everything in the woods other than a human being at that moment in time that's throwing stones at you. So I think that's just great evidence in my book. Again, this is all in my opinion. I am not the senior Sasquatch guy and going to tell you how it is, and this is what it is. This is all an IMO. Just sharing what I've experienced over the years.
And talk about the rock throwing too. You always hear the stories about how precise and the precision. Where they can throw a rock right in front of you, a foot in front of you, right off to the left of your tent, right in front of your fire. I always found it strange. I had a rock throwing incident when I first had mine when my girl froze somebody that someone's throwing rocks at the boat, and they're all, according to her in the beginning, they're all like precisely right just in front of the boat. So I just happened to look up, and they were all like within a 3 to 4 feet from our boat, 90 feet out, kind of drifting along shore, and to make the throw without hitting you, right? Just to ward you off, I'm imagining, but with the precision. But also knowing, look, I'm not here to hurt somebody or hit somebody. I'm just here to say, look, you're in my territory and back off. That, and now with all the other stories I've heard over the last few years, it does amaze me at just the skill and the athleticism, you will, for lack of a better word, that these beings have.
Yeah, they got great aim, that's for sure. And they can hawk it. I mean, they can take bark off a tree if they wanted to, and with accuracy. So, yep. I think if maybe they use it as a hunting technique. Who knows? Maybe that's how they, they take down prey. I mean, we all know they eat. They hunt here, so maybe that's another tool that they use too. The rock throwing has many uses. I guess they have to make use of whatever they can find in the forest, to their benefit.
Thank you, Lily Pond. Now, my insurance does cover it, but you're awesome. I love you. Thanks, Lily.
Thank you, Lily. We had, and I've had everything from little pebbles, just dink, 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 dink. We had them. I had Clay Campbell out in the field with me, and they were pinging his hammock with him, and you could see him. I was laying in the back of my truck, facing out the tailgate, and his hammock was over on the left side of me, and I could see these rocks sailing through the trees, And I know squirrels will throw something at you every once in a while, but these things, when they're lobbed over through the treetops, that takes out everything, like you said.
Yep.
Varmint wise, but the biggest rock that we've ever had thrown at us, I guess two of them were about the same size. One of them, me and Doss and Barry Brown were up in the cemetery, and one landed. It was about that big. It landed right behind Dee's heel. It was like they were trying to get his attention. And then I had one probably about the same size hit the top of my truck when I was pulling in one of the campsites. And I'm like, okay, I'm only going 5 miles an hour. There's no trees over me. Where did this come from,
Yeah, I love it. I think it's the best evidence you can really get. I mean, other than the footprints and whatever, but this is physical activity. I mean, you don't see the footprint being made. This is, right in the moment stuff. So that's my favorite part of collecting the data is the rock throws when they start throwing stuff at you.
So outside of the rock throwing that you've heard, that's obviously one part of your journey. What else have you had going on, out in the woods? We've all heard now. I can't assume we've heard the whoops and the howls and everything, or or feel like you're being watched, or from the wood line, or stalked. Or not, I should say stalked. It's such a hunting type word out, but flanked or what have you. Any odd feelings? You've been in the woods many times before Sasquatch. Can you relate to prior to Sasquatch up until like current day where you thought perhaps something in the past you couldn't quite put a finger on, but now that Sasquatch exists, then now you kind of recall and say, man, I probably knew about things a long time ago.
Yep, 100%. I was 10 years old, and it was just down the street from my area that we call Larry's, but I didn't know it at the time, obviously. And I worked for my father's boss, and I used to clear his trails for him. He had wood cutting trails, and he would just have me go off because he'd drive his tractor back there. I would take the sticks off the trail. One day he left me there all by myself, and he took off. And as soon as he walked out, it was like a tunnel, and he walked out of the woods and he walked towards his house. All of a sudden, it just felt like everything just it was everything came in from the sides. And look at my arms are all my hair sticking straight up. I can remember it just as plain as day. Now. So I got that feeling, my first Sasquatch experience, like I had a huff on the side of my face through a tent. That same exact feeling that I had that day when I was 10 years old came back to me 30 years later.
Wow.
So that question like hit it right on the nose. So it was the same exact feeling. So were they there? More than likely, I would have to say yes. There was many sightings at that time here in Connecticut. Actually in the BFRO reports in the 70s, we had a lot of sightings here, and it was about that time. So I think I had a Sasquatch experience without seeing them. I knew they were there. And then that feeling came back 30 years later. So it was pretty wild.
I see text. Was looking at something. When you had these experiences, though, throughout your time from then until present, and up until maybe a little more recently, had you ever seen anything? Did you see any shadows from the background, of physical appearance, or something? Because I know when I saw mine, Chris, I can tell you that I did not know how to process this thing for the brief few seconds I seen it. My whole thing was different. But when you've seen anything, even a glimpse from the shadow, what made you think that, man, this is some presence that is just not natural?
Yeah, well, my first sighting when I first seen it was on FLIR camera. I was just looking for tree structures, and we had the one dog whimper episode, but we never had anything other than that. And then my first time I seen it was on a FLIR camera, and I'm like, oh my God, these things are like really real. I was a believer, but I wasn't a knower. There's a big difference right there. And as soon as I seen that for the first time, I was like, oh my, they're real. And it freaked me out. I mean, it freaked me out. And that same night I laid in the bottom of the tent, and I heard that the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever, I didn't see it, but I heard it creep up to the tent for 15 minutes, and it went. Yeah. It took heel to toe steps, not thunder steps like Godzilla, but if you're walking through the leaves, heel to toe, and then it would go one step, and then all of a sudden the last step, boom, right by my head of the tent. And we had the rain gear off, and I knew if I looked up, whatever was there, I was going to see it, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't look up. I couldn't because the same night, this has all hit me in the same night. I mean, footprints, I see my first footprints, then the FLIR camera, and now this thing's right next to the tent. So I didn't look up. It came down to me and on the side of the tent and came up and and I felt the breath on my cheek. And I shook for about 20 minutes. I turned pale white and shook. I mean, look at my hair on my arms again, just sticking straight up. And I'm still not comfortable around them. I mean, how can you get comfortable around them when you see them and it took a while to get used to the night after that. I was very, very skittish for a long time, but I'm much better now. But back then it took me a good 5-6 years to, not be afraid of the night because, my biggest fear is walking on those trails and all of a sudden something, the hand coming out of the trail and grabbing you by the back of the neck and just heaving you into the woods. And there's nothing you could do about it. Once you know the real, a million thoughts come into your head about what could happen. And, so yeah, that's how I feel that I'm still, not 100% of saying that they're not going to do that, but I'm pretty safe to say these days that and I don't worry about danger.
Sure. And when you 5 years ago, now you say that you're a knower. You're not you probably thought there was something out there. Now you're a knower, as you say. I'm a knower. Tex is a knower. A lot of people in chat are knowers. How do you think has that changed you, the way you conduct life today? Now that you know, I mean, are you a different person today, or do you go about your research differently than prior to having just the belief and not the know?
Well, I go where the research takes me. I'm only an investigator. I mean, I have a full-time job.
Right.
I just, I do this as much as I can at night or on the weekends. I'm not a weekend warrior. I'm into it. My whole room behind me is filled with cameras and everything over the years that I've collected to do this with. And, you got sidetracked there.
It happens to me all the time, especially now.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
So what we're talking about being a knower, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Have you, as your life changed now that you know they exist? So see, me personally, I can help you out. Now that I know they exist, and now that I've had a physical encounter, not a believer, no, my life has changed for me. So mine is different than other people, perhaps, but my thought patterns are different. So your overall persona as Chris, has that been changed? Or do you just keep that separate and then you go about your everyday busy lifestyle?
Right. No, I'm open. There's no more coincidence in my book. Coincidence has been thrown out. And over the years, it's just gotten stranger and stranger and stranger. In the last couple of years, it's gotten very, very strange. From the green swamp in Florida, it's just things have progressed to a whole different level that I never thought would. I went from flesh and blood to something else is going on in the forest, and there's other things involved, and there's energies and frequencies. And so I'm open now to everything. And if to try and prove, what the truth is or what it's all really about. So I'm no more coincidence in my life. Before, I had coincidence, but now I don't believe in coincidence. So I guess that's probably the biggest change that it's made in me.
Yeah. Well, let's expand on that a little bit. You said the flesh and blood camp. Now you're kind of on the other camp or combination. I won't put words in your mouth. So what do you mean, the other camp? What's happened where you think that these things maybe are something more than flesh and blood?
Okay, well, I went on a trip down to Florida with Chris Connor, the Trail to Bigfoot, and we went into his area he calls the Thunderdome. And he had this theory of using EMF meters. He was watching Skinwalker Ranch, and he wanted to try this stuff out. So we went down there, and we were getting hit with RF readings that were topping out, and they're not supposed to top out. The meters were topping out like well, you won the jackpot at the casino. Ding, 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 ding. I mean, it was just ringing, and we were getting something was trying to tap into his phone. scanning his phones. Now we're in the middle of the green swamp. We're about 7 miles in, and something's tapping in his phone, and he's like, well, what's going on with your phone? Anything happened to your phone? So I took my phone out, and there's a message on it that I'm typing out to somebody down in Florida, and it read CMBB, and it did like 40, 50 lines of it. So we figured it was a butt dial. So we erased it all except for 11 lines, and then we filmed it. So Chris says, this is the spot where I can ask for a knock. So he gets there and he goes, so Chris doesn't think I'm crazy. Can you give me a knock on the tree? Sure as heck, 15 seconds later, a knock happens on the tree. We pick up an EVP that we found out later in the brook. I fell in the brook, and all of a sudden a southern voice comes in, a southern drawl, goes, hey, look, it's Chris. Pick it up plain as day after we got back. So we got the phones are being messed with. He's asking for things. My head is spinning now. I'm like, what is going on here? We get back to his home that night. I take a shower. I grab my phone. I come out. I look at my phone, and guess what's back on the phone? CMBB. Capital letters, parentheses, exclamation points. It is now telling me that this is not a mistake. This is something is typing this message. We couldn't figure out. We thought it was some kind of a Morse code. We came up with all these ideas. So he asked his wife to come over and look at it. He's like, Beata, can you figure this out? And she goes, I know exactly what that is. And me and Chris's jaws just dropped like, what do you mean? We've been trying to figure this out all day. Chris, Mark, Betty, and Beata, the first 4 initials of the 4 people that have been in the green swamp the last 10 years looking for the Sasquatch. On my phone, typing out to somebody else. Boom. That's when it all went down. So 2 weeks later, I'm in Connecticut. We're coming up to my area now at Rock Throw Alley. All of a sudden, the guy that's with me, his phone starts going crazy. It switches on to like the YouTube starts playing, and it was in his pocket. He's like, what is going on? What is going on? We get to the top of that mountain. My meter starts going pinned out. The same exact scenario now is happening in Connecticut. I'm on Facebook Live with my group. I bend down. There's a fireplace up there. I bend down and I go to point at the fireplace, and all of a sudden, a rock comes in and hits the fireplace. Everybody that's watching it on my group is like, whoa, what was that? What was that? All of a sudden, the rocks are coming in north, south, east, and west. The meter is screaming again. The same exact scenario. We are getting radio frequency readings off the chart while having a physical presence there. Those 2 weeks is what changed my whole way of thinking about the subject. So that's what happened to change my mind. I mean, that's a pretty big change right there from
it's pretty significant, eh, Tex?
You know, I know we got something else going on out there, right? There's no denying that. Now, what it is, I don't know. But it's like me and you were talking off air. We're talking about energies. And I don't know. And I know a lot of people are going to tell me they know. But I don't. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know. I'm glad some of y'all are comfortable saying that you do. Because you've had the experiences to justify that in your mind. I haven't figured it out for myself yet. And we talk about all these weird things, the phone and everything, and we kind of had that stuff happen too with us. But as we were talking, it seems like these critters are either drawn to this energy, or this energy, these other entities are drawn to these critters. I don't know what it is. Now, some people are going to tell me that it's the same thing. Very well may be. I don't know. And until I know, or I feel like I know, I'm going to approach it as separate things.
All right. Yep. I don't know either, Tex. I don't know I never saw what threw the stones at us. I never saw what messed with our phones. I can't make any claims of what did that. Was it an alien? Was it a spirit? Was it the government tapping into your phones? Are they watching you? I mean, I had a chop. We'll get to it later on the phone. I had a black chopper over my house a couple months ago, over my bedroom, hovering for 10 minutes. It was crazy night. I mean, it's gotten really crazy around here, but I don't know either. And I'm with you. That's why we're out there. That's why we keep going to find out those answers, and hopefully we can. And awareness, like our buddy Carrie always said, is number one. That's why I'm out there, to make people aware. Because I seen a family of 4 go into that area hiking where I had that dog whimper thing happen. Now, what if they didn't know and they went in there and something happened to that family? You know, I mean, awareness is very, very important. So.
Well, the ladies from What the Paranormal, Amy and Laney, the first time they went up to Brown Springs, I don't know, it didn't take me long to mention it. When they went up to Brown Springs, they had what sounded like puppies whining off in the brush. And at first they were going to go check it out, and then they thought better of it, and they didn't. And I'm like, well, you're probably very lucky you didn't press that issue, because honestly, we don't know what it is.
Yep.
It could be a lure, because I mean, even if we're okay, take Bigfoot off the table here. Take spirits as we're talking about them off the table. There's something else it could be, and that's the Fae. You know, and because you hear stories and countless stories through history of that's how they operate. They lure you to a place and you're never seen again.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know what we're dealing with. I think it's a smorgasbord of stuff. And for some reason, they all inhabit most of the same areas, if not all. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why mine too, Tex and Chris, I think all these things, it doesn't matter what comes out of my mouth. I can say aliens, I can say the Fae, I can say Bigfoot, I can say spirits, I can say puck wedges, I can say all of these things. To me personally, I've only had one experience with a Bigfoot, and I've had several paranormal type experiences, and I've seen a UFO. I think everything is connected somehow through this matrix. If you want to call it the Matrix, throw out a movie term, Matrix. It's all connected, Chris, in my opinion. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it has to do with quantum realm, the quantum
right.
physics. I think it has something to do with all that. I think there's a veil. I think certain things can come in and out of the veil. I think people go disappearing because they can walk into one of those things and they don't know they're walking into and can't find their way out. But again, this is just my opinion. I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never seen the veil. I've never seen anything come in and out of the veil. This is just the more research I do. I mean, you look at petroglyphs from 4,000 years ago, and they're drawing portals and things coming out of portals, and they're drawing these big, weird creatures with holding guys' heads in their hands with big. I mean, this is 4,000 years ago. There's ancient walls with aliens carved into them and gray color. Because they knew what their face, what color they were. I mean, this is just all ancient. This has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Is this all ancient people? Is this the way we used to be? Did we lose touch with all that? Did we lose that sense? Who knows? I mean, it can go on and on and on. And I think for me, this is, the flesh and blood thing was kind of getting a little stale because, you're out there, you're looking for, you're looking for Bigfoot all the time. But this introduces a whole new thing. What if? And it introduces itself to you. You don't look for it, and when it happens, you can't ignore it. And that's to me, it was like a breath of fresh air. And again, I can't tell you what it is. Like you guys, I don't know, but I think they're attracted personally to the same energies, like like their aquifers and granite and all underground stuff. I mean, I think they're all attracted to it in some way. So it's important to log everything down from barometric pressure when you go out to everything, the moon stages, the wind, the thing. It could mean answers. So I believe that's important too, to log all that in. It's science. This stuff can be measured with science and meters and scientific meters, and it can be approached. It's not a feeling in your belly. It's not the woo that everybody calls it. It's a science. Those guys at Skinwalker Ranch are coming up with huge results on their projects and their experiments. So, and they're saying we're not alone. So, and these guys are like real scientists that are out there doing it. It's not a TV show to them. I really don't think. I think they're out to really prove something. So,
and even to Texas point, what he was just talking about and what you've even just said. So how do we know what we are, in your opinion, again, everybody's got their different experiences, their thoughts, their theories, thought processes. I certainly have mine. Tex has his, as everybody else. But, I find throughout the last 5 years since doing this, it's instead of getting easier, right, Chris, it gets tougher. You have more questions. Every day I question certain things. I still question my encounter in 2018. So, like most things, when you, like in applied science, if you can learn it, you understand it, you move on. This has nothing to do with anything, because the more you learn, the less you know. And I know that sounds cliche, but if there's not a fitting way to talk about this whole subject, it's that. Because how do you know even what you're doing walking through the forest now? Oh, I think I've seen a Sasquatch. Well, how do you know it was? I mean, and I'm not criticizing a person. How do you know it wasn't the Fae? How do you know it wasn't a demon or a spirit that's been left here on Earth portraying themselves as something that it wants you to believe in, right?
Right. Yep. We had a piggyback when I came back from Florida, and it's I had to have my house blessed because my grandbabies live with me, and they were seeing a monster. They would monster all the time, monster this, monster that. And Al is the one that actually hooked us up with the people that came and blessed the house, and they were students of the Warrens, and they're very, very nice. But they're used to doing exorcists, exorcisms. They're not used to coming and blessing houses, but they did Al a favor, and they're very, very nice people. And they told us that whatever it was, as we walked across, she said we. Now, she didn't know the whole story. And this is what really, I didn't know about mediums. I always had second thoughts on them and everything, and couldn't. But she came out with stuff that she didn't know. And there's no way she knew except for what she was saying. She knew what was going on here. And she said, we walked across somewhere that was cursed, or something, a spell put on it or something. We didn't know. We walked across, and then we brought it back. She said, you three will be linked for life. So the three people that walked across this spot, whenever things happen here, it happens at his house and it happens at her house at the same time, the same weeks, the same hours, like clockwork. A year later, one time, it was like clockwork to a year anniversary. Everything started happening here and down there. So after we blessed the house, she said it was Native American. She says there was a Sasquatch presence and an alien presence. So they put tobacco on the outside. They did all their blessing here. And she didn't know what I did. She didn't know I went out looking for Bigfoot. She didn't know anything about aliens. This is just all the stuff she told that she was feeling when she came into the house, which was incredible. Even my wife, Maria, she was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. She said there was like a weight lifted off of her shoulders. I said, this might just sound weird, but it feels like something got lifted here. My cat would never come into this room ever. This is my little man cave way down in the back of the basement. Hour later, I'm talking to Al on the phone saying, well, thank you for having them come. And Maria feels a lot better and the house feels a lot better. Who comes in and runs in and sits on my lap is the cat. Never been in this room before, and just jumps up in here and jumps on my lap after they leave. And then a couple months later, then it got really, really strange here. And again, I didn't believe in the medians either. And now after that experience, there's no doubt in my mind there's people out there that have that gift. After the stuff she told me, it was really incredible.
I don't see how certain people don't have gifts, we hear it all the time. You're given the gift of truth. You're given a gift of discernment. And I think a lot of times, that's just my opinion, I think a lot of times, because it's been so taboo through the years, that people are kind of afraid of it. Maybe it gets. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the religious aspect of it, because that's a whole nother show. But I do look at them as gifts. I don't look at them as curses or anything like that. I do think that some people think they have them, but they don't really. I think they want to have them so bad. I think it's the same thing with a lot of, unfortunately, people open some doors that they want to communicate with Sasquatch so bad and these other entities that they open that door, and Paranormal 101, spirits are going to lie to you. They're going to mess with you.
You don't know what you're bringing in. You have to be prepared. You have to protect yourself, because you don't never know what's coming. There's no way of telling. So, yeah, no. Yeah, we had. I don't even know where to go from here. I've had names come to me now, and faces, and followed up the next day by physical stuff that no one knows. Right. I'll tell you, I'll tell you about the chopper experience real quick. Are we close to break time, or?
Yeah, we got some time. Go ahead.
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
So we had a sighting here in town, and it made the Facebook page in the group, she said she's seen it, and it was down my area, Larry's. I used to trade with them for like 7 years or 6 years. It was 6 years, and they sold the property, and we never made it. We can't go back up there. So there was a sighting at the end of the creek that joined Larry's, and she said she seen it come out of the woods and made some weird pig noise and ran up into the woods. Well, this out here, before I've had activity here when I was trading with them, I had a coyote leg ripped off the dog and left at my back door. Fresh off the dog, blood, everything. It was the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life, but it was left at my back door. I got sick and I couldn't make it to my gifting area. I had my gallbladder out. So I was out. I didn't get up there for a month. So I figured they came here and gave me that leg for a present or peace offering. I don't know what it was. Can't tell you. So Maria feeds every animal she can. And out front, she has hummingbird feeders. Well, she would wake up in the morning, the top lid would be popped off the hummingbird feeder. All the water is gone, and all the flowers, it's a glass one, all the flowers are plucked off and on the ground. And that went on for 4 straight days. And on the 4th day, she came in and she goes, tell your buddies, she goes, tell your buddies, I want my flower back. I'm like, what are you talking about? Today, they popped it, they drank the water again, did all the flower thing, but they took one. And she was mad about it. She said, tell your buddies, I want my flower back. And she had these little hummingbird swings that she hasn't gotten back either. I don't know what happened to those. The next morning, everything the same scenario. Now all the flowers are in a little pile underneath her, right underneath the hummingbird feeder, and the 5th one's back. All the flowers are back. So she got her 5th flower back. They knew she was mad. That night I'm sleeping in my bed and my grandbabies are taking a bath and they just turned the water on, and all of a sudden my room starts shaking. And I'm like, I thought the pipes were going to burst. I mean, that's how bad the walls are shaking. My room's right next to the bathroom. I got up. I'm like, what is going on? What is that shaking? And then Maria goes, it's not the pipes. There's a helicopter hovering over our apartment. 50 feet above my apartment is a blacked out helicopter. Now, we looked at every flight log we could, and it has to be registered, We could not find a helicopter registered for that night. After that night with the helicopter, everything stopped with the water. No more drinking of the water. Nothing came again. Started meditating. So a little while before that. So I was doing my meditation, and I asked if they were still out back, because I thought they were still here. So I'm just trying new things. And so I asked if they're out back, and all of a sudden I get this face that's coming in like this, and then I hear na 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 na, and then all of a sudden Natari, just like that, and then boom, I'm up. I'm wide awake. I got this name, Natari. Have you ever heard anybody say the word Natari in their life? Me neither. So I got a face, I got a name, and I get up the next morning, and Maria goes, look what's out in the backyard. She goes, what is that? And I look out in the backyard, and there's a Tupperware container and a stuffed monkey. We used to bury our gifts at the gift site in a Tupperware container under the ground, under rocks. And we used to hang that monkey with the Velcro in the tree at the gifting spot. Now I got that name, the face, and then the next day, 2 items that nobody else in the world knows and nobody else in the world knew I asked at my meditation the following day, left in my backyard. We put that monkey in the tree. I'll make a long story short. We put that monkey in the tree. 3 weeks later, I get another meditation. All of a sudden, this little short one, about 4 feet tall with no hair around its eyes, jumps on my chest and goes, Archibald! And then I wake up. I'm like, what is going on? I get downstairs the next day. Maria goes, look out back. She goes, the monkey is gone. Came back and they took the monkey. And then to top it all off, 2 weeks later, it's voting night. We come out of the house. I look up, and there is a ship, a saucer, a spaceship over our apartment. I mean, it's huge. It's the size of the apartment. Maria comes. I go, Maria, look up at that. Look, what is it? She looks up. She goes, oh, it's just a plane. I'm like, Maria, really look up there. She goes, oh my God, what is that? I'm like, what do you think that is? Now I have witnesses. She's seen all this. It just wasn't me. I would never probably tell this story if she didn't see it, because people would actually think that I'm lying to them. And this actually 100% real happened. And it was hovering and it didn't make a sound, and it went down, and there was people out in the parking lot, and Maria's were going, look at that. And the people didn't even pay attention to us. It's like we weren't even there. Maria still freaks out to this day. She goes, those people didn't know we were there. It was like we were somewhere else and they weren't listening to us. And we followed this thing up the hill. We got in the car. We took off. We followed it, and it got up to the woods here. And then when it got to the woods, poof.
Wow.
And it was the size of a football field.
Let's put a pin.
Digest that. Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that.
Because we're talking about the 12 monkeys, the fifth element. We got it all.
I found Natari. We're going to talk about that when we get back.
Very good, Tex. Thanks, Chris Rhinehardt. Fantastic show. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to the lovely Lily Pond for that super chat. We'll be back in 5 minutes with Chris Rhinehardt, Discover Sasquatch.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. 3 minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
I got to tell you guys something. At the end of the break, I guess the pain pills are kicking in because at the 5-minute break, I jumped out of my seat, my chair, like gangbusters, forgetting that I have, had knee surgery. I'm not supposed to walk. And I made it 3 feet. And I grabbed onto the sidewall and I brought over my old man's little walker, rolling walker. So they're kicking in Tex and everybody. They're kicking in. Totally forgot. Got up and walked. Wasn't supposed to walk on my leg like nothing. So I'm going to pay for that one in the morning, everybody. Modern science and BMR. I don't follow the doctor's orders anyways. Mondays is Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesday, Van Buren Variety, 8 o'clock in the East. Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Mysterious Library on Untold Radio, AM, Jason McLean. Catch Jason, 10 in the East. Doug Highcheck's channel, by the way. Wednesday, right back here, Jason McLean Questions Everything, 9 o'clock in the East. Thursday afternoon, 1 o'clock brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Thursday night, the Blondes, the Booze, the Woos, the Paranormal Podcast. Check them out. Thursdays at 9. Fridays, back with some woo with the Booze, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast with a little bit of the woo mixed in. Friday, excuse me, Saturday, Tex, Danielle Diva. Infamous Minds, 3 in the East. Check them out. Fantastic show. That comes on Saturdays at 3. Check out our About pages for all other schedules. We do more than just live shows. We all have videos going across our streams and everything. Streaming on Texas channel, BMR's channel, Find us on Facebook, The Blondes, The Booze. Subscribe to Texas Front Porch if you're new. Bigfoot, Michigan Rabbit if you're new. Jason McLean Questions Everything if you're new. Blondes, The Booze Paranormal Podcast if you're new. Van Buren Variety if, again, you're new. Again, all these things can be found on any of the channels. Tex has a Facebook group. I have a Facebook group. Check us out. Fantastic show. Chris Rhinehardt. Reminds me of 12 Monkeys in the Fifth Element, like I joked at the end of the segment. And Tex looked up whatever the hell you looked up with the Natari. Excuse me. Hi, Tex. And I'm going to bring up Chris. Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. You know, yeah, I remember. I remember the other button.
You got the name. Oh.
Hey, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, friends don't let friends drive in vodka.
Yeah.
So if you want me to drive, just hand me the keys, brother. So
yeah, well, you know, we got. I can make the rest of the show. I just got, you know, Tex. I walked. I was supposed to walk for 4 weeks.
Famous last words. I can drive. I can drive.
I didn't think. I forgot. You know, the pain pill. My knee is numb now, and I totally forgot about it. So I grabbed my little walking thing. I'm good to go. I'll probably pay for it in the morning. We'll see what happens.
You may pay for it with a second surgery if you don't watch your ass.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
All right. So, Chris. Let's see. Where was it? What,
I know what it is, so I'll see if you get it right.
It means calm, savior, help others, empathetic, and this is Japanese by origin. It also means healing and peaceful, the state of being still with no wind or waves.
Also, she was the first Native American saint. That was actually, and she was in upper state New York in the Mohegan tribe. Her family was very well respected. Her father was a great warrior, and they got polio. And she was the only survivor, and she had healing capabilities. That's why she was made a saint by the first John Paul I. That was only in for a little short term. But Al looked her up. Because I told Al about the whole thing that went on, and I didn't know you could look up names like that. Again, I learned stuff new all the time. Al is my go-to guru. He helps me a lot with all of this stuff. He's a great guy, and he's the one that taught me how to do the meditation and what to expect from the meditation. And it's still going on now. I still meditate every night, and sometimes I get other names and stuff that's going to go on, and but everything after the saucer, that everything has calmed down since that night. It hasn't been like off the wall, and I'm glad, because Maria was about had it. She's just like, this is your stuff. I don't want this stuff going on here. I don't want any. We have babies here. She goes, we don't need that stuff going on here. And she was a witness to it all. So but that craft was unreal. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then it was like we were in another dimension. It was like we were in another world, because those people didn't even pay attention to us. And we were sitting out in the parking lot, and we're pointing up at the sky going, look at that. And the guy's just taking his groceries out of his car like we weren't even there. Didn't even turn around. I mean, I live in like an apartment townhouse complex, and there's people everywhere, and nobody else saw it but me and her. And it was the size of a football field. Blinking lights. It was all triangles. It was crazy. Copper colored. It was all triangles. Big. It was crazy.
And really briefly on that, you know how many people I've spoken with that, because I brought this up a couple shows ago, where people have seen literally UFOs the size of a football field in their neighborhood, or even you could live in a rural country with your neighbors 50 yards away, where they see these craft, but they can only see them and no one else does. I did a report some time back on the Michigan UFOs in 1994. There was like 300 UFOs in the sky that only a handful of people saw. But yet radar picked them up because it's a long story, but a radar picked them up seeing these strange objects on radar, darting up and down, north, south, east, and west, flying at high rates of speed. Some people saw them, some people didn't. Just like your story, Chris. Yeah, I mean, it's really, it's almost unbelievable. Something as big as a football field could be seen by one person. What is it about people that maybe are knowers or experiencers that see things and others can't?
I think we just walked out into it. I think it was traveling in between where it was traveling from, and we just happened to be there at the right time. Why it was here, I don't know. Are they attracted to certain people? I believe Sasquatch are attracted to certain people. Myself, I believe that people, most interactions are by mistake. They're caught by mistake. But I think the people that continuously have interactions with the Sasquatch know where they are, and they continuously interact with them. I think they're chosen to interact with them. I don't know how to explain it. Again, this is just my opinion. I could be totally 100% wrong. But over time, everywhere I've gone, I've had interactions with Sasquatch. I'm going away with Doug Hycheck this year. We're going to Snell Grove Lake. I'm looking very, very forward to this, but I've been meditating on that, and I've been having meditations of something really, really wild happening up at Snell Grove Lake, like in the cove where the house is. So is it going to come true? I don't know. But I'm starting to believe that there's an attraction. You're meant to interact with these guys, and who knows if it's a Sasquatch? It could be Natari. Could look like a Sasquatch, but she could be an alien. Who knows? Or she's a spirit, or she's, you know what I mean? Who knows? I don't know. I can't tell you, but I can tell you this 100% true. I'm not sitting here lying to you guys because I don't make any money off of this. I have no reason to lie to you about this. I am just sharing my experiences, what's going on in the field. And I think it's important, number one, because of awareness, and I love it. You guys can I'm sorry if I speak loud, because once I get rolling on this, I start getting pumped up. If you haven't noticed.
No, you're doing great. Fantastic show.
I just think it's important and to share. And like I said, if Maria didn't see that craft, I wouldn't have told nobody, probably for a long time. But with her seeing it, she'd come down here right now. She's got the babies upstairs, but she would come down right here, right now, and tell you all she was there and seen it all. So,
yep. My good buddy Duke, World Bigfoot Radio, says you're right. They get used to you, and if you're lucky, they like you, so they show up when you go in the woods. So many times we've heard the same things. Yeah, you didn't even have, Chris, what you're saying, I've heard many times, countless times, text has, a lot of people in chat haven't. And yeah, it's just something about people of certain, text brought up the word gift earlier. I tell you what, I do believe that once something happens, if you're open-minded, you open that third eye, if you will, something else goes on with certain people when you experience things that are not supposed to be real.
Yep. No. The text is right on it. It's a gift, and I think if I never went to YouTube, like you did said earlier in the thing, what got you into this? I would have never been able to tap into any of this. This would have never been brought up to me. But I think it was like life. Life brings you places and shows you how to do it and leads you along the line to where you need to be. And I think this is the path that is chosen for most of us, and that's where we're all headed. I think we were chosen to take this path and this route, and to and help others, and spread the word and awareness. And I think it's very, very important. And so yeah, I agree with all you guys. It's a who knows, but I agree that they're 100% that they're meant to interact with certain people, and they let that known, because you can go in the forest anytime you want and bring whoever you want, and you're going to have that interaction because they know it's you, and they want to interact with you. So
it's a very
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
it's when these beings, I think I'm safe saying that, because I think we're talking about, like we said earlier, a whole smorgasbord of stuff here. As far as the Sasquatch goes, I think you're blessed if you have a connection with them. You know, the other stuff, I'm not so convinced on that one yet. You know, if that's a blessing or, you know, you're being played, and it's a fine line to walk.
Right. Yeah, I can't explain it either. I'm still boggles my head every day. Every day.
Yeah, and you know it's crazy. I mean, just because we haven't experienced like Tex has not experienced certain things, so he has doubts on it. I have not experienced certain things, so I have doubt on it. Chris, I'm sure you're the same way, and many people listening or watching in chat probably. But what I've come across too is this: we've been doing this for a couple of years, and I know certain things. People out in chat, we all know certain things. But if I keep hearing the same things, I'm like, you know what? Maybe because I haven't experienced doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I'm not saying this is what text means. I'm just saying that's what I talked about earlier. There's just so much that we just don't know, you know? And it's easy to reflect back on because we've seen something. You know, I don't know, you guys. If I believed in Bigfoot, I saw Patterson Gimlin film, and I came on YouTube because I had an encounter. Otherwise, you guys probably never would have met me, and I would have went about my life thinking, and I still would have watched the shows that are on television today and just as entertainment value. Today, I don't find this as entertainment value at all. I find it as something substantive, you know, something that I know is going on. So that's what drives me to find out more about everything. Like we talked about earlier, the paranormal, UFO, alien existence, cryptids. And again, you know, cryptids, I'm talking everything: Bigfoot, Dogman, Mothman, whatever else is out there. So, yeah, there's just so much things we don't know about. And that's why I'm excited about doing this today and having people on like yourself, Chris, just to walk us through your experiences. Because your experience is certainly different than mine, and Joe Blow's is, and Sally Sue's is, and everybody else. This makes this thing so fascinating.
Well, you know, one thing about it, and like people like Chris and sharing their experiences and stuff, and you know, getting out and say, look, this happened. I don't know how to explain it. It just happened. You're not asking for anything but ridicule.
Yeah.
You're really not.
You're right.
You're putting your ass out there, just waiting for somebody to slap it.
Right.
And
yeah,
but
it's all right though. I mean, you got to do what you got to do because.
See, and that is the cool thing. You don't care. I don't care. You know, I'll be honest with you. My Bigfoot encounter is kind of out there. I've never been slapped in the face for it that I know of, at least behind my back, perhaps, but not in my face. So. And today I wouldn't care anyway, because you can't take what I know, right? So that's what really gives me the confidence moving forward with what we do today, because it's something that, yeah, hey, you say this happens, well, you know what? Probably did.
Right. But I guess we only got a little time left. I'd like to share the EVPs that I get, and I'd like to put this out there to anybody. If you guys we record everything when we're out in the field. If anybody recording ever hear water running, like flowing like a brook? It seems that all my recordings, when I catch EVPs, there's a running brook. And Al's the one that pointed it out to me. He's like, why are you always sitting next to water when you're catching these EVPs? And I said, Al, I'm not catching EVPs next to water. There's no water around us. The first EVP I'm going to play for you guys was in a swamp in February. There's no running water in the swamp in February. Now, we're in a straight line, and there's 4 of us. There's a guy in the back and I'm in the front. The guy hears an EVP. The three of us don't hear it. Then 2 seconds later, we're walking. I hear the same EVP, but it's a deeper voice, and the guy in the back of us that's 12 feet back of me doesn't hear it. It's 2 different EVPs, 2 different voices, and 4 people hearing different things, all in the same line with the water. So I'd like to play that one for you if it's okay. Okay, here it goes.
You hear that?
No.
That sound like someone goes, hey, like that.
No.
I'm going to throw them up here. I guess you got to be careful.
Wow, I heard it that time. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I heard the hey.
See?
I just heard that right here.
Yeah.
Now, did you hear the 2 hays? And then the running water at the end. Did you guys hear it?
I heard running water. I missed on the haze. I'll just be honest. If you want to play it back, I did hear the running water towards the end.
We'll play it back. I'll put my hand up when the haze comes. The first one comes right off the bat. Here it goes. Hey. There we go. Here we go.
You hear that?
No.
That sound like someone goes, hey, like that.
No.
I'm going to throw them up here. I guess you got to be careful.
Wow, I heard it that time. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I heard the hey.
See?
I just heard that right here.
Yeah.
Still nothing?
Again, I did hear the running water. Now, of course, it's a little different because I was just, I heard the running water. I still couldn't figure out the haze.
It's tough to hear because I'm playing it off my soundboard, but there's a hey, and he goes, hey. And then I just got one less. There's 2 helps, and this is a really crazy story that goes around. I'll play the first one. You'll hear help. This is right when we get out of the car.
Oh.
I heard it. Yeah.
One more time.
Oh, that's like distinct. That's very distinctive.
Okay, now here's the next one. Did you hear it?
Oh, yeah, I did. No, yeah. Very distinctive again. Yeah.
Now that's the same day, an hour and a half in between the helps. Al again calls me and tells me, you know what's the strangest part about those 2 helps? Is that it followed you. You were an hour and a half up the trail. And
man. Now that you just creeped me out right there.
Now, again, if a family of 4 is up in that and they're hearing help in the woods, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go and look for that help.
Yeah.
What could happen? Anything could happen. Who knows what it is? But I never picked up EVPs until the Green Swamp. And then after the Green Swamp, it started picking up the EVP.
You know what? It kind of reminds me of, you've seen the movie Predator, right? Where the guy's they're out in the forest, and the predators were speaking about their downfallen comrades. Help me. Where they would go, it was a trap to get them. Kind of eerily and strangely enough, I thought about that movie, listening to that and what you had just said.
All right.
I'm wondering what the significance is, what the intent was.
Yeah, I don't know.
As the booze always, I see Brandy as the booze always say the intent was behind that.
Right. I answered the second help, the second one. I'm like, huh? What? Or I forgot what I said. But yeah, it's just that's what's going on in the woods. I mean, things are it just keeps on getting stranger and stranger as we move along. And we're planning on doing a lot of electromagnetism experiments this year and trying to catch orbs on we got a plan to try and catch orbs on trail cameras and stuff like that. So we're going to continue on that route this year, and hopefully we can get some answers, and hopefully we can just continue what we're doing and nobody gets hurt and everybody stays safe. And that's our plans for the rest of the year.
Sounds like you got a lot on your plate, man.
Yeah, too much sometimes, but It keeps it interesting, to try experiments and to try, because I still think these guys can be caught on trail camera. We haven't figured out how to do it yet. I mean, maybe people have, and I've never seen the pictures. You know what I mean? Maybe someone has figured out how to get them on trail camera, but I still believe that you can somehow. I've got trail camera clips with them waving branches in front of the trail camera to get it to trip at Larry's, my gifting area. You just see the branches just being waved in front of the camera. So who knows? It's very exciting, and I'm glad you guys had me here tonight. I love telling my story, telling what.
I appreciate having you on. I really do. Is there anywhere people can find you or follow you?
Yeah, everything Discover Sasquatch, Instagram, TikTok, even Facebook is a private group. But if you answer the questions right, we'll let you in the book and in the group, and then the Discover Sasquatch on YouTube. I'm going to have you guys hopefully on the show pretty soon too. So
say the word, man.
Love to be on. And love to be on. I thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for putting up with getting back with you late, with the incident I had. But Tex, you did a great show. I want to commend Tex on a fantastic show yesterday about the missing with one of the people that's a member of our community, Derek. And Tex, if you want, before we close out, if you want to give that public service address out to everybody, that would probably be appreciated.
I've been posting the link in chat, and it's on our community page. And I'm asking everybody, just go grab the link. Don't link it to the page. I don't care about that. Just go grab the link off of our page and post it all over your social media. Derek, you'll see him in chat. He wasn't here earlier. His wife's sister went missing in Humboldt County in December 2020, and we're trying to help get her information out. So, like I said, the link and her pictures are on our community page. And if you can just please put it out. And if you've got a YouTube channel, do like we're doing right now. Just put a public service announcement out, put it on your community tab, and let's get the information out there as much as we can. Put it all over your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you got, let's just let's try to do what we can. I mean, we call, and I said this last night. I don't know if I said this on air or off air, but I'm going to say it on air tonight. We like to call this a community. Well, by God, it's about time we start acting like it. I don't care if you got bones with somebody or not, if you got sideways with them or not. This goes beyond that.
Yeah.
Pull your head out of your ass and let's do some good.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a perfect statement, because the missing is, I can't imagine it. I'm not going to think about it. And, a lot of people last night, I got some comments that I was reading over text. It touched a lot of people that we don't know that are members of our affiliates of all our channels. I don't care if it's mine, yours, Brandy's, Krista's, Jason. People are affected by this that we don't realize, and it's something that I thought was a fantastic show for the awareness. And yeah, pulling the head out of the ass, I agree with, because the missing is no joke. We all have loved ones.
Yep.
And if it might not affect you, but let me tell you, I tried to imagine that last night going to bed. Couldn't, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I can only imagine how that feels for the people affected. So great show. I commend you. Great show. And Brown Dwarf as well, if you're still out there, man. Thank you for bringing that to the table.
And I'll say one more thing about it. If you don't want to do it for us, if you don't want to do it for her family, she's got 4 kids, and they don't know where their mother is. Think about that.
Absolutely.
And share it out. That's all you got to do. It's all we're asking. It's a couple of little clicks. It ain't hard.
Share that out. Well said, Tex. And with that being said, I'm not going to bother to market the rest of our shows. I think you guys get the message and sleep on that tonight. Fantastic show. Chris, thank you. I'm going to have you back after another 4 or 5 months when you get back out there. We'll talk about the fifth element, the 12 monkeys, UFOs, the mind speak. You had it all, brother. I loved it. I believe you. I know you got it going on, and everyone in chat loved you too. Thanks to everybody in chat for joining. Thanks for everybody that's listening now and is going to listen later or on replay. Today is Tuesday, so yeah. Well, we're out the rest of the week. Wednesday, Jason McLean questions everything. With that being said, for Tex, for Chris, this is BMR. We're out.